Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Injured Gadgets iPhone 6s home button, complete removal, and reinstallation guide. So the first thing you want to do if you haven't already done this is make sure your phone is powered off. And now using your pentalobe screwdriver, remove the two pentalobe screws on the bottom of your iPhone 6s. Next, using an iSSMO tool, which we also carry on our website, go ahead and go around the headphone audio jack. You should find a divot around this area. It might take a second to find it, but once you find that little divot, you should be able to pry the screen just a little bit. Please note the iPhone 6s, unlike all of its predecessors, actually has adhesive around all of the edges, sides, top, and bottom of the phone. So the screen won't just lift off, you will have to carefully go along the sides to lift off this screen. So what we're going to do with our iSSMO here is we are going to go around these edges to break that adhesive. If you want, you can always use a heat gun and that will help speed it up. We chose just to use the iSSMO and go around the edges with it. Once all the adhesive has been let off, you can go ahead and slowly open up your screen. Please note the screen assembly is still connected to the actual phone's housing. So we're going to go ahead and remove the little remnant adhesive that got stuck upon the screen removal. Next, you will use your Phillips screwdriver to remove two screws covering the battery. We always recommend disconnecting the battery before you ever do a repair on an iPhone or any phone. So we're going to go ahead and remove the two screws covering this little shield. Under the shield is a pop connector connecting the battery to the logic board. We are going to use our nylon black spudger to disconnect the flex cable. We don't recommend using your screwdriver or any metal tools on the board. We always recommend using a plastic or a nylon spudger if you're ever going to be touching the actual logic board of the phone. Next, using your Phillips 00 screwdriver, go ahead and remove four screws. They're Phillips head screws at the top of this bracket right here. I point them out. You're going to remove these four screws. Make sure not to mix them up. Keep them in the order that you remove them. They are all four different sizes. You do not want to mix these four screws up. Alright, with that bracket removed, go ahead and use your nylon spudger again to disconnect the three flex cables as shown right here. Be careful disconnecting these. You don't want to push too hard against the actual board where they plug in, because you could always damage the board, so be careful doing this. Once those three cables are disconnected, your screen assembly should come away from the housing just like that, very easily. Alright, so from here on out, we're going to be working on the part on our left side, which is the full screen assembly. It includes the home button, the Touch ID sensor, the front camera proximity sensor, ear speaker, and a microphone, and of course your LCD digitizer assembly. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and remove the home button flex cable, as well as disconnect the actual home button. Please note the home button itself is very sensitive, and if you actually rip it, your Touch ID will no longer work even with a replacement home button. Alright, you're going to go ahead and unscrew those three screws right there, and that little silver bracket will come off fairly easily. Once that has come off, you are going to go ahead and disconnect the home button flex cable from the long logic board home button flex. Once you disconnect that, please note that the actual circuitry of the home button flex is stuck to the actual frame of the assembly with adhesive. If you want, you can use a little bit of heat using a heat gun to disconnect that, but be extremely careful. I cannot stress enough how careful you need to be when removing this so that you do not rip this home button flex cable. And with that removed, now I can show you guys how to reinstall a home button if your home button has ever been destroyed or damaged before. Alright, go ahead and grab your new home button and make sure to align it properly inside this little circular area. Please note, if you're ever replacing your home button, the original home button's Touch ID is in fact synced with the original motherboard, so your Touch ID will never work again, unfortunately. The actual clicking of your home button will work, but if you are trying to switch out your Touch ID, or if you need that feature, it's just not going to work if you've ripped your home button flex. Alright, let's go ahead and grab our bracket. Please note that one corner of the bracket actually goes under that little shield, so make sure it's in there properly. Make sure this is a straight little shield. You don't want it to be crooked, you don't want it to be raised up any. And go ahead and screw these 3 screws right back in. And with everything now connected, we can go ahead and attach our entire screen assembly with all the small parts installed back onto the actual logic board of the phone. Please note, I like to connect the right side cable in first. Right here I'm just looking at which cables to put together first. This was our first time actually disassembling and reassembling this phone. We had never opened it up before, so we're essentially doing the repair just as you guys are watching it. Now, if you are having a hard time connecting these in, please don't just jam them in. Make sure that they go in there with an easy snap. Make sure that it's a straight click and then not left to right or anything like that. You want it to be an easy click, just like that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and grab our little shield and screw that back in. Please remember, all the screws on this phone are completely different sizes. You do not want to mix them up. And you want to put them back in the order that you took them out. So make sure you do that. Make sure you essentially put the shield with the screws and line them up. You'd never want to mix any of these up. I mean, it could damage the logic board, something could go in too far, and it can mess up a lot of things on your phone. Alright, we're going to go ahead and reconnect our battery now. And once the battery is connected, we will go ahead and take the little shield covering the battery pop connector and screw that back in with the 2 Phillips screws. With everything in place, now we're going to go ahead and slide this screen assembly in from the top. You don't want to go from the bottom because there are little brackets at the top that slide into place first. So you want to go in from the top and then go along the sides. Make sure not to go along one entire side, but more so left to right, and push the screen into place. Don't force it down, because if you force it down, you could end up cracking it. Once that's done, go ahead and grab your pentalobe screwdriver and your 2 pentalobe screws. We're going to go ahead and screw those back into the phone. And of course, once you have everything done, go ahead and power up your phone. It's a good idea to test the touch screen. It's a good idea to test the home button. If you do see lines in it, if you do see blocks in it when you power it up, it means you probably did not connect it all properly. So you might have to redo a little portion of the repair. But everything looks good here. Thank you for watching our video. Make sure to comment below, like us on Facebook, and subscribe here.